Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Vietnam Innovators. I'm your host, Hao. Thank you for tuning in every single week and supporting the show. Without you, this would not be possible. We have a guest from Singapore today. She worked for Sanofi, Karine Labaky. Karine, welcome to Vietnam.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Hao.
I understand you've been at Sanofi for almost or more than a decade.
Absolutely.
Congratulations. It's a big milestone. That's in addition to Sanofi's 70-year anniversary in Vietnam,
Absolutely.
I believe. So Sanofi, for those of you that don't know, French pharmaceutical company, but has rich roots in Vietnam. You can actually pass by their office on Ham Nghi Street in Ho Chi Minh City. Long history in Vietnam, doing great things. And this year, 70-year anniversary, a lot to celebrate. I'd like to maybe just start with a quick fire question for you. Tell us about your journey at Sanofi and what you do there exactly.
Thank you again for having me. Sanofi, yes, since 10 years. I joined the group. I was extremely attracted by the portfolio. The fact that it's a portfolio that spans over several therapeutic areas. The fact that the company has a big geographical scope, footprint across several countries. I was attracted by the entrepreneurial mindset of the group. That's how I joined. What made me stay, actually, and grow my career in Sanofi was the DNA of the group, which is serving the patients. The mission of the group is a lot focused on advancing healthcare, putting patient at the center, making sure patients have access to our solutions and thus have an improved life. This made me stay. This is actually what drives me every day in the group.
Very good. Yeah, for someone to dedicate your career, I understand not just 10 years at Sanofi, but over your entire professional career in health and medicine, pharmaceuticals is quite the journey. So congratulations. I'd like you to also share about what it means to you to become a female leader in vaccines in particular. I think, for the average person around the world these days, vaccines were top of mind, especially during COVID, and people are still understanding and learning about them. And it's still the very beginning, I would say, in terms of the impact of vaccines. Tell us what it's like to be a female leader in this very emerging, I guess you could say, category within health.
So let me step back and tell you a bit more maybe about Sanofi,
Sure.
And then we're going to come a bit to me. So what drives us every day in Sanofi is the impact that we make, the difference that we make in the community, in the life of patients, in families. And that is something that we live by day in, day out. During that journey as well as a group and as we're progressing, diversity and inclusion, we've put it at the core of our mission. Why is that? Because we wanted everyone to come to Sanofi, bringing their best self, with all their background, with their gender, their sexual orientation, their beliefs, so that they are whole as they're coming to Sanofi. So diversity is a big part of our mission. It's not something that's there on the board. We are intentional, we've taken solid actions towards ensuring that we build a very diverse community that actually represents the society that we live in. So the group has put some targets and we work towards them. So we're progressing quite well. Today, we have a target of having 50% women in leadership by 2030. So we're going there. And we also have a target for having women at the executive level, a target of 40%. So why do we put a target? To make sure that we actually move, progress, and take solid steps. And this diversity, these different backgrounds that are around the table addressing the business needs, make us stronger, make us innovate more, make us more agile. So that's what I've been experiencing in the group. So 2 initiatives Sanofi has put in place to illustrate this and to advance further. One of them is creating a D&I board. No other pharma company has done that. What does it mean? It means that we brought thought leaders from outside the industry to actually come and share with us their experience, but also hold us accountable on how we're progressing on the diversity and inclusion culture. That is one. Second, we've put in place working groups within the organization, ERGs, that are focused about the different pillars of that diversity, because there's gender, yes, but there are so many other things. There is support to the LGBTQ plus community, there is cultural diversity, there is age diversity, background diversity. So we have groups that work on initiatives to make sure that we develop a culture, we live in a culture that is inclusive to everyone in the group.
At my company, we're about 70 staff now here, mostly in Ho Chi Minh City. And about 7 years ago when I started my company, things like diversity of thought, but also people were definitely not top of mind. I think just survival was. But as the company has progressed, actually our board of directors, we have 3 people. 2 are women who are both much older than me, 10 years older than me. They both have families and all that. And I'm still a single bachelor living in my little world. And I will say it's been quite valuable to hear just from different perspectives. But you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I think for me, having that possibility to invite other types of thinking and just roles in society into a company, it's quite valuable. So hats off to Sanofi for making all of that happen.
Amazing. I'm very happy.
So, yes,
to
me
hear
too.
that.
Me too.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe I would add one thing as well on diversity.
Please, yeah.
So in the workplace, we're intentional, we're moving forward. But also in the clinical trials that we do. We also want to make sure that when we study a new innovation, a new asset, we also have a good representation of the community, even those who are coming from an underserved community, those who are minorities, also being part of these studies, to make sure that how we work, how we develop our medication, our vaccines, are representative of the world that we live in.
Yeah, so for the audience today, Karine's team is essential to developing vaccines that are safe and representative of the whole world that it serves, not just one type of population. So we'll touch upon that in a little bit about how clinical trials are done, how vaccines are delivered in a safe and effective and equitable manner. But before we go into that, I want to talk about your visit to Vietnam, because I understand it's your first one here. You're representing a division of the company that's massive and growing very quickly. Tell us about the significance of your visits to hospitals, to your customers, to the patients that are receiving these vaccines. Tell us about the impressions you've had and the purpose of your trip today.
Yeah, thank you for that. So first, I'm thrilled to be here. We arrived yesterday with the leadership team of the region. So we cover a region that's Asia and JPAC, Japan, also with the Pacific region. We came here for many reasons. First and primarily is to listen to our customers, to our partners. Sanofi has been highly invested with a diversified footprint in Vietnam. We've been here, as you mentioned, 70 years, committed to our mission to actually protect public health, save lives, and then, of course, make sure that the community has access to innovation. So over the last 2 days, we've been meeting our external partners, and these are health authorities, policymakers, business people, healthcare providers, but also people who are part of the ecosystem of healthcare, so that we learn about the trends, the needs, the challenges that they're facing, so that we see how we can accompany them through this journey. We've been impressed, truly, by what we've seen. Amazing energy and commitment to advancing healthcare. I felt there's a big sense of wanting to innovate and raise the bar. Now, of course, there are lots of challenges, and it's important for us to sit around the table, discuss them as partners, for us to be able to address them, to advance healthcare. I was impressed to see the government plan, whereby truly they've laid out a plan about the healthcare status and position of Vietnam within the region. The aim is clear, it's written, the strategy is there, the priorities are there. Vietnam aims to be a healthcare hub, a center of excellence across that part of the world, across Asia. So, which is amazing. Now it's about how we're going to go there, how we're going to make that happen. We have a long road, but the willingness is there, and that's already a great starting point. So we need to look together at regulations, at policies to ensure that the country has faster access to innovation. We still have a bit of delay versus other countries. How can we bridge this gap? We as a company, we're doubling down investment on research and development so that we bring new assets, new solutions for patients. But these have no value if we're unable to bring them to the community. And that's what we're discussing with the different stakeholders.
So you must be on the road a lot, Karine. You have a regional role, so JPAC, including Japan. What countries do you oversee exactly, and how do you see Vietnam's role playing with the other countries? You mentioned it's a hub. I understand Sanofi has a state-of-the-art factory here, for instance, that's not just making products for Vietnam, but is exporting it around the world.
Absolutely.
So I'd love for you to delve into, one, what countries do you oversee? But second, what is that hub? What does that mean? And what does that mean for Asia in the context of Sanofi Asia, but also Sanofi Vietnam?
Yes, so the region that we cover for vaccines is, as you said, Asia JPAC. So that's the ASEAN countries with India, and all the ASEAN countries, plus Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand. So when you look at this perimeter, you see different archetypes of countries. So you have emerging economies, mature economies. You have different kind of healthcare systems, different status in their development, different approach and mindset to vaccination. So our plan is always to understand the reality of that market so that we adapt our approach for the reality of that market to be able to serve the mission. When it comes to Vietnam, I think the country has done significant progress and big strides over the last few years, or the last 10 years when it comes to immunization. A great infrastructure is being developed with private players to be able to ensure the vaccination. And that is great. Also, the government is supporting a lot to ensure that we progress on immunization. When we look at this part of the world, we see Vietnam, again, progressing well on immunization, but still a lot focused on immunization in childhood. So the concept of immunization is somehow only for babies, for young age. While in reality, immunization is a life course approach to be able to protect at every step of the age, throughout life, the population. Adolescents on several diseases like meningitis, like pertussis, and we can talk about them. Elderly. Today, our elderly, and we see Vietnam, we have a growing elderly population. So we have around 13 million people who are above the age of 60. These have reduced immunity and would need to be protected against infectious diseases. So this is where we see that the vaccine coverage rate in Vietnam is still relatively low. So we're here to see how we can partner to increase the vaccine coverage rate to make sure that these elderly have access to a differentiated flu vaccine that will actually save their life.
Very good.
Because we need to remember that vaccines are not only cost effective, but they're also cost saving, and they save life.
Okay. For those of you tuning in for the podcast, you may have noticed or be interested in the whole vaccine topic, which is what we're going to focus on for the rest of the podcast. Karine, you mentioned it's not just the product, innovating on new IPs and patents and all that, but also the distribution. How do we educate the market to actually implement and roll out the vaccines, right? So you mentioned older people going into older stages of life, not just at the infant and childhood stage. Could you talk about what other strategies and initiatives are in place? Like you mentioned working with partners, and I assume government's part of that. But what about the private sector, like the hospitals? What's it like working with them to make these things happen? I mean, these must be multi-year, if not a decade-long scope. Maybe you can share just high level how your teams approach that.
So what we've learned in the vaccines world, and particularly after COVID, is that for us to be impactful, to make a difference, we need to work around the ecosystem, all of it, with all the stakeholders that are in the ecosystem. And partnership is key with the different stakeholders, academia, researchers, healthcare providers, across the journey of the patient, media, policymakers, regulators. Every stakeholder in that ecosystem is important for us. So we tend to have a holistic approach. We look at it and say, where can we make a difference? And it starts from the beginning. How can we ensure that the country will have access to that innovation? Today, there are certain regulations that actually are a bit slowing down the access. So we try to educate policymakers. We partner with regulators so that we have access to this vaccine. But then comes the phase of educating community, also healthcare providers about these vaccines to make sure that they adopt them, they are mobilized to use these vaccines. So a lot of work is done on awareness and education through the different channels that the population actually interacts with.
Yep.
Here I understand Facebook, for example, here is quite, has a big reach.
Yes.
So we try to look how can we make sure that the message goes through. And we have amazing private partners who have been truly developing fundamentals and then strengthening that ecosystem to make sure that vaccination actually ramps up.
Okay. Let's go into a bit more specifics, particularly about the innovation part in the product sense, not just the rollout and the education. Has there been a launch in your eyes that's been innovative or noteworthy in recent years, or maybe in months even, about a Sanofi vaccine that you feel particularly proud of as representing head of Asia? And are you planning to bring that particular vaccine to Vietnam, and how, if so?
So thank you for the question. So Sanofi, as a global leader in vaccines, innovation is extremely important for us. Today we cover 15 therapeutic areas. We're expanding the pipeline. We presented data from 12 new assets lately. We presented a new partnership that we've done as well with Janssen with regards to a certain, so it's extraintestinal pathogenic E. coli as well. So we're expanding the portfolio, going from preventive vaccines to therapeutic vaccines to make sure that we protect population, we push new frontiers, moving towards these therapeutic vaccines, as I mentioned. One of the therapeutic areas that we're focused on is respiratory syncytial virus. It is an infectious disease that has a huge burden on the community. We know that more than 70% of the babies during their first year of age actually catch RSV. 50% of the hospitalization that happens for acute respiratory symptom is actually because of RSV. This data, we have it worldwide, also confirmed in publications and studies in Vietnam. So you imagine the burden of this disease, and we lose lives. We lose babies like this, and of course, this is a big burden as well for the families, for the community. So lately, in early September, Sanofi has launched an immunization solution for RSV in babies. It's not a vaccine, it's a monoclonal antibody. So we're pushing the boundaries of immunization to as well using monoclonal antibodies. So it's a passive immunization to make sure that babies, as soon as they get vaccinated, they are protected throughout, all of them, throughout the RSV season. Whether they are born at term, whether they are premature babies, whether they have certain complications or they are at risk, all of them deserve to actually get vaccinated. And we know that hospitalization is actually even high in babies that are born at term. We see lots of publications from healthcare providers, researchers in Vietnam about RSV, which actually is a sign of the burden of the disease and the willingness and the need of this for a solution. And today we have it.
In healthcare systems that suffer from underinvestment or not enough resources, which happens in Vietnam just because of where it's going, but of course, what investment now do we need to take? My next question is about the idea of prevention versus treatment. I think a lot of people forget about that, especially the consumers. Like consumers like me, we don't want to spend money until we have to, but sometimes that's actually more costly. In the average person's lifetime, you're probably going to get sick or exposed to something that you didn't choose to be exposed to, right? The idea that we're used to treatment, like reacting to things, whereas prevention, where vaccines can really support, make sure you don't get sick in the first place, which is leading to my next question. There's another disease. I don't know, is that the right way to put it? I'm not a medical expert. Diphtheria, it's reemerging in many places in Vietnam, and populations are very vulnerable. Public health is vulnerable, especially in the northern areas. As a leader in the industry, what possible actions would you suggest or you can lay out there for the general public to know where public health can be impacted if vaccines or other preventative measures are not taken? Walk us through what's happening with that diphtheria specifically.
So thank you for shedding light on the cases that we've been seeing, the emergence of the diphtheria cases. I think it's important for us to look at this upfront, understand why we're there, to see how we can actually address this. It's important to remember that at Sanofi, we're not just a vaccine supplier. So it's true, we supply 2.5 million doses of vaccine every day, but that's not what we only do. We innovate, we are also a public health partner. We partner with the community, with the players in the ecosystem to make sure that the community is protected. When we look at the case of the emergence of diphtheria, many things actually come to light. One of them is the fact that today we face these cases when the vaccine coverage rate is not optimal, is not where it should be for certain communities. That is something very important. It's important that all of us work together to have an optimal vaccine coverage rate. Second, many of these vaccines as well would require a booster few years down the road, particularly in young children, because their immune system is still not very developed. We tend to miss on that, to have that booster dose to ensure that we give another boost for the immune system. So in the case of diphtheria, we start taking the primary vaccine, so it's important to see the coverage rate there. Important to take a booster at school age, 4 to 6, but it's also important to repeat the booster in adult life every 10 years. So that is number one, ensuring we work together for vaccine coverage rate. Second is, of course, educating mothers, educating the community on the importance of following up the vaccination calendar and that to ensure that they go to vaccine and to go to the boosters. But I think as well it's important to reinforce the surveillance system in countries where these diseases are, we need to report them, we need to follow up, we need to understand when it emerged, where do we have a focal point, how can we actually act fast. Surveillance systems are extremely important. So these are the things that we need to work with policymakers, with public health institutions to make sure that we reinforce and we protect the community.
The entire time I'm thinking, I don't have this vaccine. I don't think I've gotten it myself. I'm not actually sure. I have no idea. I have to check. It's one of those things, again, like I think, all these terms about different diseases that are emerging public health, people just don't know about these things. And how do we break it down into layman's terms? Not everyone's a scientist or an expert about this. And I think about it a lot too, because my mom's a nurse, or a former nurse. She's retired now. And she's bringing these to the table all the time. And actually, one of your colleagues here in Vietnam, Kevin, he's the consumer healthcare GM, I believe. And he was telling me about all the consumer healthcare products, such as, I forgot the name. One of them is like an energy tablet. It's like an everyday health daily supplement tablet.
Pharmaton.
That's it. And my mom, I always verify with my mother because she knows all these things, and she said it's very good. But if I gave her a list of all the vaccine stuff, I don't know. Would she even know? I think these new innovations are happening every day, and you have to be on top of it. And consumers need to be informed. So
I fully agree. I mean, look, I'm a pharmacist by education, but then, I went to business school. That was a bit, pharmacy was a bit away. But then I came to Sanofi and started learning about vaccines. But I'm also a mother, so I have 3 children. Despite my education, despite the fact that, I have 3 children, I have the calendars, I follow up, I also find it difficult. So it's not easy. I acknowledge that, which is why educating mothers, making sure that they have access to information in a crunchy way to make sure that they understand what they're protecting their babies, their kids throughout their life, and then they're mobilized. So it's always in the household, there's always a person who takes care of the health of the others. It's very important that we educate them.
As a side note too, because the vaccine portfolio for Sanofi must be pretty broad. Not just in Vietnam, but across the world. Does it change in different places? Like, of course, in Vietnam, public health might be defined in a different way than, let's say, in Africa or North America because of the weather, conditions. Could you share just broadly about that? Because, some of our audience here in Vietnam might be thinking, well, do we really need this? Is it just because, innovations are happening in Europe, but is it needed here and vice versa? Could you touch upon that briefly so our general audience can be informed about that?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's a great question. In reality, so the WHO has surveillance centers across the world to look at what are the infections, what are the strains, what are the pathogens that are circulating, and they work on recommendation. There is, across the world, a base of immunization that's important to have.
And which ones are those?
So, for example, polio. I mean, polio, if across the world we did not take the needed steps and make the right efforts, all of us across the world, today we will have more than 13 million babies who will be paralyzed, who will not be able to walk, to dance. As long as there's one kid in the world that has polio, all other kids are at risk.
So it's infectious.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So it is important to address these diseases. So when we look at part of our vaccines, for example, so we have a vaccine 6-in-1, where you have truly the base, the primary vaccination that every kid across the world should have.
Okay. And how many are there that we consider a base?
So the base would be depending, I'm going to tell you the antigen, because some of them, it's like 5-in-1, 6-in-1. So the most advanced one is a 6-in-1. So we have around 15, I would say, that are in the primary calendar that would be important for us to always have.
I see.
But then you have certain regional infectious diseases that we face that are very much linked to the weather, as you said, to the community, to the population. Dengue, for example, certain tropical diseases, for example. These would be more local. But if you look at the vaccination calendar, we have primary vaccines that are very important to have everywhere across the world.
Okay.
Now, are we solid on that? No. Because if we don't have, even if we have a great calendar, if we don't have a vaccine coverage rate, we're not protecting the community. And we still have many vaccines that are not part of that calendar. Meningitis, for example. I invite you to watch. There's a video we have with one of the Paralympics champions, swimming champions, who's going to be competing actually in the Paralympics in Paris 2024. Yep. You see the impact of meningitis, how he lost his limbs just because he was not vaccinated. So it's a preventable disease. We could have prevented it. And our aim as a company is to make sure that by 2030, we put an end to meningitis. The team, with the 3 Paralympics champions and the Meningitis Foundation, has developed a flag to symbolize the fight, to make it easy for people, to mobilize them, to touch their hearts about the need to get vaccinated.
Yeah. Side note.
Yeah.
Sanofi is a sponsor of the Olympics.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay. So
yes.
I think those stories, it's worth mentioning because how to drive health innovations to achieve human limits, in terms of sport achievements and breaking through barriers, making things accessible. So just a side note there, that was a memory that I wanted to bring up.
And we're very proud of that.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's important as well to highlight that our teams are also involved in it. So we have 2,024 volunteers from across the Sanofi world who are going to be mobilized.
Amazing.
To go to Paris to support the organization of the Olympics and Paralympics.
I'm motivated to a few things after this podcast.
Okay, yeah.
One is look at my vaccine history, and second is go to the Olympics.
Okay, yeah.
I have gone to a few in the past. Went to London 2012. That was my last one. So
okay.
It's been a while. Next question for you, Karine. Could you elaborate on the concept of what we call here Lifecourse immunization? Because you mentioned, a lot of these vaccines are taken at a very young age. Me, I'm 31. I don't believe I've had one recently aside from COVID, but, it's been a while to my memory. So how do you involve individuals of all ages and genders to understand the life course of immunization, and what would you suggest as an expert?
Yeah, I think we have lots of work to do, and you play a major role actually in helping us raise awareness on the importance of life course immunization. For adolescents, for example, they feel, at your age as well, if you're healthy, you don't need to get vaccine. But we need to remember that vaccines are not for people who are sick, are prevention so that we don't get sick. We take the elderly as well. Today, let me just talk to you about flu in elderly. Elderly today have an immune system that's quite fragile because their immunity is lower. They need a specific vaccine that would allow to protect them.
Yep.
Just remember that. Today, flu, for example, has a complication, which is, for example, stroke. The risk of having stroke increases 8 times because of flu. So flu is not about the symptoms of flu. It's not about staying a few days in bed. It's about the complication that flu generates. Stroke, cardiac events, 10 times. For people who are 50 years of age, who never had a cardiac event, might have their first cardiac event as a result of flu. Elderly, for example, more than 27% of them will lose their independence after a flu symptom. So we just underestimate it. We just think that, it's there, it's all right, we're going to accept it. No, we can prevent it. By preventing this, we actually save the lives of these elderly, support the family, because imagine a family that has an elderly who's in the hospital that they need to serve. Also, this has a burden on the healthcare expenditure and, of course, an economic burden for the country. So it's important to address Lifecourse immunization.
Karine, this is my last question about vaccines before we move into the last part of today's podcast about the future of Sanofi Vaccines in Vietnam. I understand you have a huge portfolio to oversee across Asia, Pacific, and Japan. In Vietnam, what are those top vaccines that just we should know of in terms of Sanofi's priorities, in terms of you see growth areas, you see high adoption rates, so you want to continue investing in that? What are those top 2 or 3 that come to mind for you in Vietnam?
So yes, today for us in Vietnam, our aim is to make sure that the community is protected. Let's start with babies. We have a 6-in-1 vaccine. It's the vaccine that is used the most across the world. And this is a vaccine that protects against several pathogens and is life-saving, has been proven to protect and save lives.
Okay.
So this is no doubt a mainstay, a backbone of any vaccination calendar. When I say this, it's about all the calendar itself, meaning with all the doses that babies need to take of that 6-in-1 vaccine.
Let's stop there just briefly. You mentioned that's a big priority. How many, what's the vaccination rate at the moment for that particular vaccine? You're saying it's a backbone, and it sounds like it should. 6-in-1, that's fantastic.
Yes.
That the innovation is there. How many babies today in Vietnam upon birth are receiving this vaccine?
Yes.
Do you have that information right now?
Yes. So today we do not have national official data for us to be able to follow. But what we know from our own sales is that around 1/3 of the babies in Vietnam are taking a 6-in-1 vaccine. Is it enough? No. Obviously, this is a very important primary vaccination. Some of them might be taking a 5-in-1 from a different generation. I'm talking about here the most advanced one, which is 6-in-1.
Very cool. Very good. Awesome. Great. Let's look over to the future a little bit to close today's podcast, Karine. One of the big things I mentioned earlier in the podcast was about addressing the goal of having more women in leadership roles, particularly by 2025. What measures are you taking at your level? Perhaps not just at leadership, but across your team, the new hires, the new graduates. What are you doing at your level to hit that goal at an individual level?
Yeah. So yes, as I mentioned, we're very intentional about hitting these numbers, not just because we want to put them out there on the board, because we know they actually have a positive impact on the business, on the culture, on the innovation, on how we serve the community. So that's why we're committed. It's general across the board in Sanofi. So as I shared with you, we have ERGs, we have board, we have lots of actions that are taken. So just to share with you some of the things that we do, we make sure that today on the succession benches that we have enough representation of this diverse group of people that we want to bring, including, of course, women. We also make sure that we accompany them through their development journey. We have more and more personalized development plans to ensure that we address the needs, to support the ambition of these women so that they continue and grow their career with Sanofi. We also, because we're very focused on AI, we're obviously, you might have read it from our CEO, we are doubling down investment on AI, using it across the spectrum of our activities, from research, M&S, but also in the way we handle talent management, for example. Today we have Workday that is powered by AI that suggests for women leaders, for any person in the organization, based on their ambition, based on where they want to go, development plans, gigs, assignments, mentorship, coaching, to make sure that they can actually lead and drive their career development. Today, for our talent development, we say it takes 3 to tango. It's our colleagues, so the team members, it's the manager, and it's the organization. We're committed, we're going to advance, and we believe we'll be able to make a difference so that people will be growing their career and achieve their ambition and dream in Sanofi.
Very good. My last question today, it has to do with vaccines and how your role as the head of vaccines in Asia supports that goal. How does Sanofi align what you do, distribution of vaccines, making sure the stakeholders all reach it, and your aspirations with the changing healthcare landscape? How do you balance those needs? Because obviously Sanofi wants to grow every year. You have your team goals, but then there's also the demands at the local level. How do you do that as a leader? I'd love to hear stakeholder management. That's the way to put it.
So thank you for that. So in Sanofi in 2019, we embarked into a transformation led by our CEO, Paul Hudson. At the heart of it is that purpose of chasing the miracles of science to improve people's lives. Play to Win is about a strategy, a North Star that's very, very clear for everyone in the organization. It is also a culture that we live by, and it is a mindset that we live by. And this is what drives all of us in Sanofi. And as part of Play to Win, there is the double down efforts, all hands on deck, to bring innovation first in class, best in class, so that we go towards that North Star, bringing innovation in immunology, bringing innovation in vaccines, bringing innovation in for non-communicable diseases. So that is very important for us as a group. So while this is where all of us are going, we also look at how we adapt it locally. So we adopt a local model, if I may. So global direction adapted to local realities of the market. And that's where teams come in, where they adapt that global strategy to make sure that what we deliver as strategy to the market is actually advancing that global strategy. So that we deliver on today, while not losing focus on where we are going. For us, we take lots of time to listen externally. We don't operate in a vacuum. That outside in is very, very important for us. That's why the customer centricity, that focus on a customer is of course a patient, but it's also a partner in that ecosystem. We listen to them, we understand the reality, we understand their challenges, and we see how we can address that while not losing focus on where we're going.
Very good. Thank you, Karine. One last question. It's a very simple one. There's no wrong answer. I always like to ask my guests at the very end of our podcasts about what they would like to learn. So today, it's a bit of a mini MBA for me to learn about vaccines. I feel like I know more than the average person, but I don't know the specifics. So thank you for sharing, Karine. Clearly, you're an expert in vaccines, but you're not an expert in everything. So the purpose of this podcast is to invite experts to share their insights so our audience can learn something. What would you like to learn? What kind of podcast guests would you like to have in the future so you can learn more about Vietnam or innovation in general that would help your job? I would love to hear your short answer on that.
So thank you for that. I think I'd be very interested to know how can we make sure that we can reach the right segments of the population to educate them. What channels? Today we speak about an omni-channel marketing, but what are the right channels for us that we need to balance with what messaging, what approach, to make sure that we educate them, because we owe it to them to educate them so that we mobilize them. You said you're 31. It's been a while you have not been vaccinated. So actually the question is, what is it that you need? How can we reach you so that you understand the importance of vaccination, of immunization, and then it's not only you understand, but also you take the step of being immunized to protect yourself, but to protect the community around you.
That's a super interesting question. I don't know. It's definitely not TikTok because I don't have a TikTok account. Very good, Karine. Thank you so much for your insights. It's been a pleasure to learn about all things Sanofi and vaccines. I learned a lot today, and I hope our audience did as well. For those of you tuning in for another episode of Vietnam Innovators, if you have any questions, comments about vaccines, and just want to learn more, leave your comments in the section below. Someone, or in the future from our team, will take that into consideration for future guests. Karine, thank you so much for coming to Vietnam and making your time available today. I know you're meeting a lot of clients, a lot of customers, a lot of partners and hospitals and patients, a lot to do, a lot to take in for your first visit. And I hope to have you back very soon to learn more about Vietnam as well, to better make your job effective. Thank you so much, Karine. And thanks so much, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.
Thank you for having me, Hao. It has been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.